First item on the agenda is roll call. Member Nick Malason.
Yeah.
Member Vincent Laria.
Yeah.
Member Ann Raponi.
Here.
Member James Serboni.
Here.
I'm Chairman Andrew DeSantis, and Member Joseph Lavelle has informed me he wasn't able to attend tonight. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of April 6, 2016. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item on the agenda is vote on a certificate of compliance for DEP File Number 0610639, North Lot, Vanguard at Waterfront Square, Convington Company. Member Vincent Laria and myself attended a site visit that was requested by Member Joseph Lavelle on Saturday. We walked around, we thought it looked good.
Yep.
So if I could have a motion to issue the COC?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Vincent Laria, seconded by James Serboni. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Voted. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for DEP File 067. I think that's 7, 8, 7, 9. Let me take a look. Yes, 7, 9. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to do that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
That was Nick.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Voted in the affirmative. To open the public hearing, I see Attorney Steve Radens here in the audience representing Sterling Suffolk, CBW Leasing. Many names, make sure the green button's on, and you're all set. The green light is on.
I haven't spoken from this side in a long time. Gentlemen and lady of the commission, I represent Sterling Suffolk Downs, or more appropriately CBW Lending, the property owner for the Wonderland site. And we're here seeking a order of conditions. As I'm sure everybody is aware, the site down there has been vacant and abandoned, not abandoned, I shouldn't say abandoned, but it's been vacant since the legislation that ended the legislation that ended the dog racing in Massachusetts some years ago. The city, the mayor's office, the city, and probably most of the abutters, most people in city government are very eager to have that building taken down at this point for two reasons. One, because it's unsightly, and again, it's empty and it doesn't appear to be of any use under its present construction. But secondly, so that the development of the parcel can go forward. So the process has essentially started, and it starts here. The owners of the property have determined that rather than file a request for a determination of applicability, that given the size and the location of the parcel, that it's assumed that it would be an applicable to a determination by the commission. So we filed the notice of intent, and our hope is to get a quick order of conditions so that we can inform the necessary contractors that, that the project needs to comply. As you, I'm sure, are aware, taking down this kind of a structure requires the approvals of several departments in the city, not the least of which is a building permit from the building department, but also the fire department has to pass on it, the engineering department, public works, and especially the health department. Excuse me. The health department's primary issue is baiting for rodents and other pests that might be on the property. So, but we feel that the first thing we need to do, because most of the contractors who would be, it's already been sent out to bid. We believe that most of the contractors would be very familiar with the process of taking down the building, but might not be familiar with the specifics of the site regarding conservation and environmental issues. So we wanted to start here. The timetable that we're hoping for to meet is the end of June for the taking down of the building, certainly the start of the taking down of the structure. It should take, we're expecting that it would take 10 to 14 days to fully take down the structure and remove all the detritus and the, as a result, that results. So at this point, I anticipate that you might be wondering what's going to happen to the property, and frankly, at this point, no one really knows, but the owners of the property are committed to working with the city to develop the parcel in a manner and use commensurate with the interests of not only the owners, but of the city and the citizens of the city, and they're committed to working with the mayor's office to define the best use of the property and implement a development plan in accordance with that best use. So unless I missed something, which I don't think I have, I certainly would be willing to answer any questions that I might answer. We have had an engineer review the proposal. We have we have a Suffolk Construction is supervising the contract at this point, and it's been sent out to bid, as I said. A contractor has not been selected as of yet, but that's the next step.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions for Attorney Reardon? Thank you, Ann. Any questions for Attorney Reardon?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
I don't see any boxes checked for resource area impacts on the NOI, so I guess I'm not sure what we're evaluating with regards to the NOI.
Again, I think perhaps I didn't submit the petition. The owners did, and I think they kind of wanted to get it here before you in terms of expediency more than anything else, because setting this back another month would have been a problem for virtually all concerned. So without getting into specifics, as I am not an engineer, I can only say that again, given the vast size of the operation down there, that we can assume that there are many issues that need to be addressed, and perhaps all of the issues that need to be addressed at this point. However, if something more is needed to be provided, we can certainly do that in the upcoming days, but we would like to get the process started.
Member Cervoni, what I have done is I've written a pretty standard order of conditions for this type of thing. And what I see of resources down there, bordering vegetated wetland are the inland resources, bordering land subject to flooding under inland resources, riverfront area, and also land subject to coastal storm flowage under coastal. The reason why it would be inland resources is because it's tide gate controlled, and I think that's the way DEP will look at it, you know, and they'll have to face this more so once they have a plan for development. You know, you've got ditches there that flow to a tide gate, which act as rivers in some instances, so you've got the inland portion, you got the coastal portion if you got a big coastal storm and everything came over from the seaward side, it would be land subject to coastal storm
We assume
flowage.
that there'd be a pan-environmental situation down there going forward. I think that was the idea. And as you suggest, this is only the tip of the iceberg. When it comes time to start developing the property, that's going to be an entirely different issue.
Yeah, we weren't given a specific list of what's being demolished, but I had talked to the gentleman from Suffolk, the clubhouse, the grandstand, the scoreboard, and I think a couple of the smaller ancillary buildings are being demolished, if I'm not
Right, my
mistaken.
understanding is that everything that had to do with the racetrack facility is coming down. There may be some outbuildings that have to do with the present use, but other than that, everything that has to do with the existing racetrack is coming down.
And we also talked about disconnection of municipal services, the water, the sewer, any drain protection of the catch basins on site, because there is drainage on site, and I'm concerned about extraneous water getting into the sanitary sewer. We have enough issues in the city with stormwater flows getting into the sanitary sewer, so to make sure, and I'm sure Donnie Goodwin, Superintendent of Public Works, will be on top of that.
As well as the
to make
engineering
sure.
department and the fire department for that matter.
The engineering department, Nick Rystrom down in the engineering department, yeah, they don't want anything done that's going to cause any problems. Anything else from anybody in the commission? I see Councilor Powers in the audience. Would you like to speak on this matter, Councilor Powers?
Yeah, I support Attorney Reardon 100%. I've been down to that site. I have photographs, which I'm not here tonight, but if there was ever a building in the city of Revere that had to be demolished, it's that site there. As far as the neighbors, I've had calls from many of them. They want the building down. It's unsightly. It's unsanitary to allow that building there to become a harborage for rodents, which it probably already has. I've spoken to the mayor on this. I know he is on the same page. If ever the city of Revere had a diamond in the rough, that's it down there. 38 acres with the blue line across the street, the commuter line over to the right, which incidentally there's an earmark in the transportation bond bill that if funded at some time by the governor would allow for a commuter stop there, which would give any potential developer a whole new shelf of potential workers to come in there, professionals, and work that project. So I think it's a great thing. The quicker we can get this moving, the better. I know I heard Councilor Reardon talk about baiting it. I've spoken to Nick Catanazzo as recently as today, and that will be built, that will be baited rather, probably 10 to 12 days prior to any demolition starting down there. It will be baited extensively because of the proximity of the buildings down there to the neighborhood and the area along the ditch there, which is, of course, harborage again for rodents. And so I support that 100% and glad to see it come down. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Anybody else in the audience who would like to speak on this matter? Have any questions about it or anything?
Just as a point of clarification, I believe the permitting process requires a 14-day baiting, to commence 14 days prior to the demolition. So that's another reason we need to move, as quickly as possible. We're committed to doing that.
Yeah, we've got a 10-day appeal period with the order if we voted tonight, but you could start baiting. You could be doing baiting now. There's nothing that would prohibit that from being done. With the warm winter, I would imagine.
Well, I think they
rodents,
probably want to bait it as close to the time that the demolition work is going to begin so that it doesn't have to be rebaited, when the demolition does start, because the permitting process may take a little bit of time, and certainly selecting a contractor at this point is the next point of it on the agenda, to come up with a plan to submit to the building department to get the thing taken down.
Yeah,
So
you
we wanna move
probably
along.
want to get baiting sooner rather than later, Steve, because
Yeah.
the way you bait is you put bait out and you keep putting it out until the rodents stop taking it.
Right. Well, the contractor's next, and then once the contractor...
Yeah, once you get
comes
the
in,
contractor on board, you probably want to move on that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Would you like to speak? I thought I saw you raise your hand. What's the will of the commission on this?
I'll motion to close the hearing and issue an order of conditions.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Voted in the affirmative.
Thank you, folks.
Next item on the agenda is a request for a termination of applicability, Point of Pines Beach Association for Vista Pruning. Laurie, welcome to the commission.
Hi. Hi, my name is Laurie Nelsnick, and I'm submitting a request for determination of applicability on behalf of the Point of Pines Beach Association. And the location of our project is along Rice Avenue in Revere, where the Point of Pines Beach is. And our hope is that the Point of Pines Beach Association, the beach along Rice Avenue, the area of the vegetation, including large bushes and trees. And in the past, we've actually been given permission to do the Vista pruning of that area, and the Vista pruning of the vegetation, including the large bushes and trees, and trimming of the plant life, including the bushes and trees.
Would you speak into the microphone, Laurie?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, in the past, we've been given permission.
Bring the microphone a little closer to you.
How's that better?
That's great.
Oh, much better. Yep, so in the past, we did receive permission to Vista prune the vegetation, including the large bushes and trees, and trimming of the plant life, including bushes and trees, while maintaining a healthy root system. And we had consulted with a wetlands specialist in the past, and we had him do a site evaluation, and then checked our plans for doing some pruning in the past, and it actually has worked out quite well. We were able to do some trimming, and it made it a little safer for the dunes and also the walkways. And we actually had some landscapers that we were qualified, and we reviewed with them how to go about the trimming and still keep the vegetation in a healthy state. So at this time, we'd like to see if we can just resubmit our plan so that we could continue. And actually, there's not as much that needs to be done this time because we've done a healthy job for the last 3 years. And we'd just like to see if we can get some permission to continue to follow our same path of just trimming of the vegetation around the walkways and the dunes. And that way it helps with our security. It helps safer, so when people walk on and off the beach, they're not encumbered by plants in the way or tripping, that type of thing.
Thank you, Laurie. Any questions for Laurie? I know Vin and Nick, were you on the commission when we did this before, Jim? No, I wasn't. Yeah, what we did before, we had them get some training. So quite a few people who were trained on how to properly prune. Ann was on the commission then, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. And they did a wonderful job.
Yeah, thank you. We've actually got a nice response from the local people, and the beach is extremely healthy. So we're very happy, and there hasn't been any breach with any storms. The dunes are actually growing, so we've been very lucky.
Yeah, no, I'll agree to that. The dunes are thriving. It looks great. So it sounds like a great idea to me as long as the pruning is consistent with what's done in the past, I guess.
Yeah. We try to do it within reason so that just a nice trimming.
Okay, so if we're ready to take a vote on this?
I guess it sounds good to all of us.
Yep,
So make a motion
a motion
to accept, to
to
proceed with the
issue a
pruning,
determination of applicability.
right, of applicability.
Yep.
For the
That,
Vista
A
pruning.
negative determination
I'm reading it.
that the work in the request is within an area subject to protection under the Act, will not remove, fill, dredge, or alter that area, therefore that work does not require the filing of a notice of intent.
That's it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Do I have a
Thank
second?
you, Laurie.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'll second it.
That was Nick. See, I'm getting it this time. All those in favor? Aye. Voted in the affirmative.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll send this to you, Laurie, after it gets signed and make a copy of it. Okay? Next item on the agenda is a public hearing, DEP File Number 0610678, Notice of Intent, 41 Lee Burbank Highway, Berthing, Dredging, Chelsea River by Irving Oil Terminals Incorporated. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open it.
Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, floor is yours. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I'm Robert Garrity. I'm the engineer for Irving
Yeah,
Oil.
speak into the mic.
My name is Robert
There you
Garrity. I'm the
Thank you.
engineer for Irving Oil. The project is to perform maintenance dredging on the marine tanker terminal on 41 Lee Burbank Highway. The project involves dredging of 1,900 cubic yards of material, and that is to elevation -39 mean low water. The project is being run in conjunction with the Boston Harbor deepening project, and we will utilize Massport's confined aquatic disposal cell for disposal of the material. The material will be dredged, put into a barge, and barged to the site for disposal. The last dredge occurred in 2005. This is a very small portion of the facility that is being dredged, actually.
Mr. Garrity, we received a communication from Massport on this, which supports the project, and also received a communication from Commonwealth of Mass Division of Marine Fisheries. Have you seen both those communications?
I have not seen both of those.
Oh, we can have a copy right here. Marine fisheries, time of year restrictions. Which is typical. I think you've seen that for other work you've been doing
Yes.
along the port.
Yes, that's fine. For the dredging, we don't, Massport is still in the process of permitting and designing the confined aquatic disposal cell. The dredging would not be able to occur until that is completed. So initially, we're looking at the earliest timeline for dredge would be late fall for this year, but it looks more likely to be summer of next year would be the start of dredge.
How long of a time period to complete the work once you start?
We anticipate, because it's such a low volume of material, that it would only be 1 or 2 weeks of dredging.
Any questions from the commission?
No, I would just comment that consistent with the Division of Marine Fisheries, I would think that the work and water restriction will be the same for next year when you start. So you indicated this summer next year, so as long as it's post June 30th, seems appropriate.
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close.
By Vin. I have a second?
I'll second it.
By Nick. All those in favor? Any opposed? Voted in the affirmative.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here you go, sir. Next item on the agenda is a public meeting, request for termination of applicability, vegetation management, Keolis Commuter Services, Purple Line right-of-way. A gentleman from their engineering company was not able to make it today. What's the will of the commission on this?
Perhaps we can postpone it to our next meeting?
Okay. Make that in the form of a motion?
Yes, you could, in a motion.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
That was Vin. Oh, Nick, got it wrong, bound to. All those in favor? Aye. Thanks. Next item is another certificate of compliance for DEP File 0610539, 1300 North Shore Road, the MBTA parking garage. They didn't indicate whether they'd be coming or not. What's the will of the commission on that?
Make a motion to extend it to our next meeting.
That's fine.
I'll second.
Motion by, and that's the second by James? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And the last thing's adjournment. Have a motion to adjourn
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
by Mr. Laria.
I'll second it.
Are those in favor? We're adjourned at 7:27.